What if you've been thinking about aging all wrong? What if the gray hairs that catch the light in the mirror, the familiar aching in your joints on a cold morning, the heavy wave of afternoon fatigue that derails your day? What if these aren't the disease? What if they're just symptoms, the distant smoke signals of a much deeper fire, a hidden silent battle raging inside the very core of your being right now? A cellular war that you are about to learn, step by step, how to finally win. This is not just another health video. Stay with me through this entire briefing because the final protocol I am going to lay out is not about simply feeling a little better. It represents a complete paradigm shift in how you can consciously control your body's energy systems and your true biological age. The critical insight at the very end will connect everything you feel on a daily basis, your energy, your focus, your physical resilience, to a single, powerful, and deeply empowering choice you can make today. Leaky youth. Let's reframe the entire concept of aging, tearing it down to its foundations and rebuilding it based on what we now know. For decades, we've been culturally and medically programmed to see aging as an external, inevitable process of decay. We notice the first fine lines around our eyes. We feel a new, unwelcome stiffness in our knees when we get out of a chair. We see the first silver strands of hair that weren't there last month. We've been conditioned to view these as the primary events of aging, the slow, unstoppable erosion of our physical vessel over the relentless march of time. But this perspective is a fundamental, profound misunderstanding of the underlying biology. These are merely downstream consequences, the external echoes of an internal process that begins much, much earlier in life and in a place most people would never think to look: your gut. The true genesis of accelerated aging, the central engine that dictates the rate at which your body breaks down, is a phenomenon scientists now call inflammaging. It's a simple, elegant portmanteau of inflammation and aging, and it perfectly describes a chronic, low-grade, systemic inflammation that slowly and silently erodes your health from the inside out. This is not the dramatic, helpful inflammation you experience when you sprain an ankle. The immediate swelling, redness, and heat that signals a robust immune response is rushing to the scene to protect and heal you. No, inflammaging is a silent, persistent fire. It's the constant, almost imperceptible hum of cellular stress that gradually degrades every single organ system in your body. It impairs your brain function, weakens the delicate lining of your cardiovascular system, stiffens your joints and connective tissues, and yes, eventually manifests on the surface as wrinkles and sagging skin. So, the billion-dollar question is not how do I stop wrinkles or how can I soothe my aching joints? Those questions are addressing the smoke. The real, strategic, and far more powerful question is, where is this inflammatory fire coming from, and how do I put it out at its source? The answer, for a vast and growing majority of us living in the modern world, lies deep within the intricate, intelligent architecture of our intestinal lining. It is here that the battle for your youth is either won or lost. Imagine your gut lining not as a thick, impermeable wall like bricks and mortar, but as a vast, intelligent, and incredibly delicate checkpoint. If you were to spread it out, this surface would cover over 2,000 square feet, the size of a tennis court. Yet it is only one single cell thick. Let that sink in for a moment. One cell thick. This microscopic barrier is all that separates the chaotic outside world that you swallow from the pristine, carefully controlled environment of your bloodstream. These specialized cells, called enterocytes, are stitched together side by complex protein structures known as tight junctions. Think of these tight junctions as the highly disciplined, elite security guards of your internal border. Their sworn duty is to stand shoulder to shoulder, forming an impenetrable phalanx. Their job is to meticulously screen everything, allowing only fully digested nutrients, water, and essential electrolytes to pass from your gut into your circulation. Everything else, undigested food particles, metabolic waste, toxins, and potentially harmful bacteria, is meant to be denied entry, kept safely within the gut tube to continue its journey for eventual excretion. This is a fortress of immense, almost unimaginable biological importance. But here's where the devastating concept of leaky youth comes into play. Due to a modern lifestyle filled with insults, a diet high in processed ingredients and low in natural fiber, chronic psychological stress, insufficient or poor quality sleep, and a host of environmental toxins, these disciplined security guards begin to waver. The tight junctions, under constant assault, can begin to break down and abandon their posts. The tight, impenetrable barrier begins to loosen. Microscopic gaps form between the cells. The border is now permeable, it's compromised. This is the clinical definition of what is colloquially known as a leaky gut, or more accurately in scientific terms, increased intestinal permeability. Now, a flood of substances that were never meant to enter your systemic circulation start to pour through these newly formed gaps and into your bloodstream. One of the most studied and most problematic of these unwanted invaders is a molecule called lipopolysaccharide, or LPS. LPS is a structural component of the outer membrane of a class of bacteria in your gut known as gram-negative bacteria. When these bacteria live out their life cycle and die, they break apart and release their LPS. In a healthy gut with a strong, intact barrier, this is not a problem. The LPS is safely contained within the gut and excreted without incident. But when that barrier is leaky, LPS pours into your bloodstream like a constant, slow-motion toxic oil spill, day after day. Your immune system, which is hardwired over millennia of evolution to be incredibly sensitive to bacterial threats, immediately detects this invader. It correctly identifies LPS as a powerful endotoxin, a blaring siren that a dangerous bacterial breach has occurred somewhere in the body. And it does exactly what it is designed to do. It mounts a massive, full-scale attack. It unleashes a powerful cascade of inflammatory messengers called cytokines, potent molecules like tumor necrosis factor alpha, TNF alpha, interleukin 6, IL-6, and interleukin 1 beta, IL-1B. This immune response is the very beginning of the fire. This is the ultimate source of inflammaging. It's not a one-time event like a cut or an infection. It's a continuous, unrelenting state of high alert. Your body is trapped in a perpetual, low-grade war against a perceived internal threat that never goes away because the leak is chronic, and this war is systemic. These inflammatory cytokines don't just stay in one place. They travel through your bloodstream to every corner of your body. They cross the blood-brain barrier, contributing directly to the brain fog, memory lapses, and mood instability so many people experience. They impact your cardiovascular system, contributing to the stiffening of arteries. They settle in your joints, causing pain and stiffness. They affect your liver, your muscles, and your skin. They are the single greatest driving force behind the slow, steady, and miserable decline we have all been mistakenly taught to accept as normal aging. The vitality of your youth is literally leaking away through a compromised gut wall, fueling a fire that silently consumes your energy and dramatically accelerates your biological clock. The wrinkles and the stiffness aren't the problem. They are the smoke signals desperately trying to tell you that your internal fortress has been breached. The critical insight here, the point that changes everything, is that you are not a passive victim in this process. You are the commander of this fortress. The integrity of that single-cell thick barrier is not entirely predetermined by your genetics or your chronological age. It is profoundly and directly influenced by the living ecosystem within your gut, your microbiome. The specific composition of this internal garden, the trillions of bacteria residing there, holds the ultimate key to either reinforcing your fortress walls with steel or leaving your gates wide open for the enemy to pour in. Understanding this mechanism is the first crucial step. The next step is to identify our greatest allies in this fight and learn precisely how to recruit, nourish, and empower them. This is where we move from identifying the problem to deploying a strategic, powerful intervention. The power to rebuild that wall, quench the fire of inflammaging, and reclaim your youthful energy is directly tied to the microbial allies you choose to cultivate. Microbial allies. Now that we've established the battlefield, the gut lining, and the insidious nature of the war, inflammaging, we need to identify our reinforcements. We are not alone in this fight. Residing within us is a vast, powerful, and largely untapped army of microorganisms, and our job as the chief strategist of our own health is to cultivate the right soldiers for the mission. Among the trillions of bacteria that call our gut home, a few keystone species have emerged in the scientific literature as true longevity powerhouses. These aren't just passive residents taking up space. They are active, symbiotic partners in our health, performing critical functions that our own human cells are incapable of. And perhaps the most celebrated and well-researched of these microbial allies is a bacterium with a fascinating and revealing name, Akkermansia mucinifila. Let's break that name down because it tells a story. The genus Akkermansia was named in honor of Antoon Akkermans, a brilliant Dutch microbiologist who pioneered our understanding of microbial ecology. The second part of its name, mucinifila, is the real key to its power. It is Latin, and it literally translates to mucin-loving. Mucin is the primary protein that makes up the thick, gel-like, protective mucus layer that coats your entire intestinal lining. This mucus layer is the absolute first line of defense. It's a physical, slippery barrier that sits on top of your epithelial cells, preventing bacteria and toxins from ever making direct contact with the gut wall itself. And this is where the sheer biological elegance of Akkermansia comes into play. This bacterium's favorite food, its preferred source of energy, is the very mucus that protects your gut. It lives embedded in this layer and selectively grazes on it, consuming and degrading the older parts of the mucus lining. Now, on the surface, that might sound counterintuitive, even alarming. Why on earth would we want a bacterium that eats our precious protective shield? Here is the brilliant biological feedback loop that nature has designed. As Akkermansia consumes the old mucus, it sends a direct chemical signal to your body's specialized goblet cells, the mucus factories in your gut lining, to produce more fresh, thick, robust mucus. It's a perfect biological example of a use it or lose it principle applied directly to your gut's defenses. By constantly pruning and recycling the old layer, Akkermansia ensures that the barrier is continuously regenerating, staying thick, healthy, and strong. In study after study, higher levels of Akkermansia are consistently correlated with a thicker gut mucus layer, stronger and healthier tight junctions between the cells, and therefore dramatically lower levels of that inflammatory endotoxin, LPS, leaking into the bloodstream. It is quite literally a guardian of the gut barrier. It single-handedly helps to patch the holes in our leaky youth scenario, directly lowering the fuel available for the fire of inflammaging. But its crucial role doesn't stop there. The true power of these microbial allies lies in their astonishing alchemical ability to transform compounds from our diet into powerful, bioactive molecules that our bodies can use. These resultant molecules are called postbiotics. To be clear on the terminology, a prebiotic is the food for the bacteria, like dietary fiber. A probiotic is the live beneficial bacterium itself. A postbiotic is the beneficial compound produced by the bacterium as a result of it fermenting a prebiotic. This is where the story of energy, aging, and longevity gets truly exciting. Akkermansia, along with several other beneficial gut species, has the unique ability to convert specific compounds found in certain foods, powerful plant molecules called allegitannins and other polyphenols, into a remarkable postbiotic molecule called urolithin A. Urolithin A is a legitimate game changer for human cellular health, and here's why. Our bodies cannot produce it on their own. We are 100% dependent on our gut microbiome to create it for us from the raw materials we provide through our diet. If you don't have the right bacteria, you can't make it. Once created in the gut and absorbed into the bloodstream, urolithin A performs a vital rejuvenating function for our energy systems. It powerfully activates a process called mitophagy. To understand mitophagy, you first need to think about your mitochondria. These are the thousands of tiny power plants inside almost every cell in your body, responsible for the miraculous process of converting the food you eat and the oxygen you breathe into the primary currency of all life, a molecule called ATP. As you age and as a result of constant cellular stress, these mitochondria become damaged and dysfunctional. They become inefficient, producing far less energy and sputtering out far more damaging free radicals. They are like old, rusty, smoke-belching factories that pollute the entire cellular environment and bring productivity to a grinding halt. Mitophagy, which literally means self-eating of mitochondria, is the body's essential built-in quality control process for cleaning out these old, damaged, and polluting power plants. It is a fundamental cellular renewal program that identifies, engulfs, and breaks down the dysfunctional mitochondria, recycling their raw components to build new, pristine, highly efficient ones in their place. The problem is, as we age, our natural intrinsic ability to trigger this critical mitophagy process declines significantly. Our cells become increasingly cluttered with this junk mitochondrial debris, leading directly to a systemic energy crisis that we experience as chronic fatigue, poor physical performance, brain fog, and accelerated aging. This is precisely where urolithin A steps in as a hero. It is one of the very few known natural compounds that can robustly and reliably reactivate this dormant, age-suppressed mitophagy process. By stimulating mitophagy, urolithin A helps your body clear out the old, faulty cellular machinery and replace it with new, high-performance engines. This has profound and measurable implications for how you feel and function. It means more efficient energy production at the most fundamental level of your biology. It means less oxidative stress and less inflammatory cellular damage. Studies on urolithin A have shown remarkable effects, including improved muscle endurance in both older and younger adults, increased grip strength, and better overall cellular function, all of which are hallmarks of reversing the aging process at a deep mechanistic level. So let's connect the dots and see the full, elegant chain of command. You consume specific foods containing polyphenols like allegitannins. Your microbial allies in your gut, especially Akkermansia, metabolize these polyphenols and transform them into the powerful postbiotic urolithin A. Urolithin A then travels through your bloodstream to your cells and activates the critical cleanup and renewal process of mitophagy, clearing out old, damaged mitochondria and promoting the growth of new ones. The result is a fundamental restoration of cellular energy production. You are literally rebuilding your body's engines from the inside out, powered by the metabolic work of your gut bacteria. This isn't science fiction. This is the tangible, actionable science of symbiotic health. The power to rejuvenate your cells lies in your ability to feed the right microbial allies. Energy hijack. We all know the feeling intimately. It's that 3 o'clock in the afternoon slump where your focus dissolves into a haze, your eyelids feel like they have lead weights attached, and your motivation to do anything productive completely evaporates. It's the chronic nagging fatigue that a full 8 hours of sleep doesn't seem to touch. It's the persistent brain fog that makes complex tasks at work feel like wading through thick, cold mud. For years, we've been told this is just a normal, unavoidable part of getting older or a simple consequence of a busy, stressful life. We blame our jobs, we blame our schedules, we blame a personal lack of willpower or discipline. But what if this persistent, soul crushing energy deficit isn't a psychological failing at all? What if it's a biological inevitability caused by a massive, hidden, and continuous theft of your body's most precious resources? This is the energy hijack, a physiological reality being orchestrated by your own immune system, directly triggered by the leaky gut and the fire of inflammaging we've been discussing. To truly grasp this, we need to think of your body's energy as a strict daily budget. You wake up each morning with a finite amount of ATP, your cellular energy currency. This budget needs to be carefully allocated to all of your body's critical functions to keep you alive and thriving. A significant portion must go to your brain simply to maintain consciousness, cognition, focus, and mood regulation. Another large chunk is allocated to your muscles for movement, posture, and all physical activity. The rest is distributed among a million other vital processes: digestion, hormone production, cellular repair, and even maintaining your core body temperature. In a state of optimal health, this budget is managed with remarkable efficiency. Energy is directed where it's needed most, allowing you to feel sharp, vibrant, focused, and resilient throughout the day. But when your gut barrier is compromised and endotoxins like LPS are continuously seeping into your bloodstream, your body is forced to make a drastic emergency budgetary reallocation. Your immune system, detecting this constant, unending influx of toxins, declares a permanent state of emergency. It shifts from its peacetime surveillance mode into a full-blown wartime footing. And war, by its very nature, is biologically, metabolically, and energetically expensive. The production of inflammatory cytokines, the activation and mobilization of white blood cells, and the constant resource-intensive effort to neutralize perceived threats consume an absolutely astonishing amount of energy. Your body begins to divert massive resources, ATP, glucose, amino acids, and vital micronutrients, away from their normal, life-enhancing functions and channels them directly into funding this perpetual, low-grade immune conflict. This is the hijack. The precious energy that was supposed to power your brain for that important meeting or creative project is now being rerouted to manufacture TNF alpha and other inflammatory molecules. The glucose that your muscles were counting on for an afternoon workout is now being consumed to fuel hyperactive macrophages that are fighting a phantom war in your bloodstream. This is not a metaphor. It is a direct, well-documented metabolic competition for finite resources. Your immune system, when chronically activated, becomes an energy sink, a biological black hole that vacuums up your vitality. The deep fatigue you feel isn't just in your head, it's a genuine, quantifiable energy crisis at the cellular level. Your brain is literally being starved of its power supply, leading directly to that brain fog, difficulty concentrating, memory issues, and mood swings. Your muscles are being systematically deprived of their fuel, leading to physical weakness, poor exercise performance, longer recovery times, and an inability to build and maintain lean mass. Think of it like a country's national budget. In times of peace, the government can invest heavily in infrastructure, education, research, and healthcare, all the things that allow a society to innovate, thrive, and grow. But if that same country finds itself trapped in a perpetual, unending war, the entire budget is re-engineered. Funds are systematically drained from all other sectors and poured into defense and the military. The roads begin to crumble, the schools deteriorate, scientific progress stalls, and the health of the citizens declines, all because the nation's finite resources are being consumed by the all-encompassing war effort. This is precisely what's happening inside your body every single day. The chronic immune activation triggered by a leaky gut forces your biology into a permanent wartime economy. You are paying a daily, non-negotiable inflammation tax that leaves you feeling metabolically poor, depleted, and exhausted, no matter how much you try to push through it. This framework should be incredibly empowering because it completely reframes your subjective experience of fatigue. It is not a character flaw, it is not laziness. It is a predictable physiological consequence of a compromised gut barrier. The lack of energy is a symptom, a distress signal from a body that is working tirelessly over time on a hidden internal problem. It tells us that the most powerful lever we can possibly pull to reclaim our daily energy, our mental clarity, and our physical stamina has nothing to do with drinking another cup of coffee or forcing ourselves to the gym. The most effective, most fundamental strategy is to end the war. By repairing the gut barrier and stopping the flow of toxins, you cut off the trigger for the immune system's overreaction. You effectively sign a peace treaty with your own biology. When the immune system can finally stand down from its state of high alert, the energy hijack ends. The vast resources that were being funneled into the inflammatory response are immediately liberated. Suddenly, that massive energy budget is freed up. It can finally flow back to where it belongs. To your brain, restoring focus, memory, and a stable mood. To your muscles, restoring strength, power, and endurance. And to all your cells, promoting deep repair and regeneration. Quenching the fire of inflammaging isn't just a long-term strategy for longevity. It is the most direct and powerful method for resolving the unexplained energy crisis that plagues so many of us on a daily basis. The path to feeling more vibrant and alive tomorrow starts by stopping the resource theft that's happening inside you today. Invaluable, but it's nothing without a practical, actionable protocol. We've identified the core problem, inflammaging stemming from a leaky gut. We've met our most powerful microbial allies, Akkermansia and its cohorts, and we understand the devastating consequences a systemic energy hijack. Now, we move to the most important part of this entire briefing, the execution. How do you, starting today, begin to systematically rebuild your gut barrier, cultivate your microbial allies, and reclaim the energy that is rightfully yours? The strategy is beautifully simple. We must stop thinking about food as just calories, proteins, fats, and carbs. We must start thinking of it as biological information. We are not just eating for ourselves, we are eating to consciously fuel the microscopic army within us that dictates our health. The primary focus is to provide the precise raw materials they need to do their job of protecting and rejuvenating us. The primary tool in our arsenal is a remarkable class of plant compounds called polyphenols. These are powerful antioxidant molecules that give fruits, vegetables, and other plant foods their vibrant, beautiful colors. The deep red of a pomegranate, the rich purple of a blueberry, the dark brown of cacao. More importantly for our purposes, specific polyphenols, particularly a group called elagotannins, are the preferred food, the specific prebiotic fuel for the bacteria like Akkermansia that produce urolithin A. Remember, you cannot get urolithin A directly from any food. You can only get its precursors. So your daily mission is to consciously and consistently incorporate polyphenol-rich and specifically elagotannins-rich foods into your diet. This is the most fundamental and powerful step in the entire protocol. Let's get very specific and actionable. The undisputed king of elagotannins, the richest source known to science, is the pomegranate. Whether you consume the arils, the juicy seeds, or drink high-quality, 100% unsweetened pomegranate juice, you are providing a potent, direct dose of the exact precursors your gut bacteria need to get to work. One of the simplest and most effective daily habits you can possibly adopt is consuming a small glass, about 4 to 6 ounces, of pure pomegranate juice or a half cup of the seeds. Next on the list are dark berries. Think of a rich medley of blueberries, blackberries, raspberries, and even strawberries. They are absolutely packed with a different but equally important class of polyphenols called anthocyanins, which also support a healthy gut environment, reduce inflammation, and feed a wide range of beneficial bacteria. Their deep, rich colors are a direct visual indicator of their microbial feeding, health-promoting power. Try to get a cup of mixed berries into your diet every day. Walnuts are another absolute powerhouse. They are unique among nuts for their remarkably high concentration of elagotannins. A single handful of raw walnuts a day is a simple, incredibly effective strategy for providing your microbiome with the building blocks it needs to produce urolithin A and protect your gut lining. And for a touch of healthy indulgence, high-quality dark chocolate, specifically with a cacao content of 85% or higher, is also a fantastic source of beneficial polyphenols. The critical concept here is consistency. This isn't about having a superfood smoothie once a week and hoping for the best. It's about the small, consistent daily choices that create a lasting shift in your internal ecosystem. It's about layering these foods into your existing diet. Add a handful of berries and chopped walnuts to your morning oatmeal, Greek yogurt, or protein shake. Have that small glass of pomegranate juice with your lunch. The goal is to create a constant, steady supply of these vital raw materials, ensuring your microbial allies are never starved for the resources they need to protect you. Now, let's address the reality of modern life and individual biology. While a food first approach is always the gold standard and the foundation of this protocol, it can sometimes be difficult to get a concentrated therapeutic dose of these specific compounds consistently day in and day out. Furthermore, a crucial variable in this entire equation is the existing composition of your personal microbiome. The hard truth is, studies show that not everyone has a sufficient population of the right bacteria, like Akkermansia, to efficiently convert these polyphenols into urolithin A. Some individuals are high converters, some are low converters, and some are even non-converters. This means you could be eating all the right foods, but if you lack the necessary microbial machinery, you simply won't get the full benefit of activating mitophagy. Your results will be limited by your own gut biology. This is where targeted supplementation can act as a powerful accelerator and a form of biological insurance, removing the guesswork from the equation. There are two primary supplement strategies to consider. The first is to use specific prebiotics designed to selectively feed Akkermansia and other beneficial bacteria. These might include things like pomegranate peel extract, specific types of flavonoids like quercetin, or other targeted fibers. The second and more direct strategy is to bypass the conversion process entirely and supplement directly with pure urolithin A. This has become possible only in recent years through advanced fermentation technology and offers a way to guarantee that you are getting a precise clinical dose of this powerful postbiotic, regardless of the current state of your microbiome. This direct approach essentially ensures that the final, most critical step in the chain, the robust activation of mitophagy, occurs. For many people, a combination approach is optimal. Use the daily fuel from your diet of polyphenol-rich foods to nourish and improve your entire gut ecosystem for long-term health, and use a direct urolithin A supplement to guarantee you are maximizing the powerful cellular renewal benefits in the here and now. The choice depends on your personal context, your budget, and your health goals, but the underlying principle remains the same. You have a direct line of communication with your cellular power plants. The message of renewal you send is determined by the fuel you provide. This protocol isn't a restrictive, punishing diet. It's not about deprivation or what you have to give up. It is an empowering and abundant framework of addition. You are strategically adding the key informational inputs that restore the integrity of your gut, feed your most valuable allies, end the devastating energy hijack, and initiate a profound, body-wide process of cellular rejuvenation. The power to change how you feel tomorrow, to have more energy, more clarity, and more resilience, is rooted in the simple, deliberate, and delicious choices you make at your next meal. Start today. Pick one of these foods. Add it to your routine. This is the first tangible step in rewriting your own biological story. Aging is not a predetermined sentence handed down by your genes. It is an ongoing, dynamic conversation between you, your environment, and your biology, and the language you use in that conversation is your daily choices. The crushing fatigue, the mental fog, the slow, frustrating physical decline we've been taught to accept as inevitable is very often just the static from a poorly managed internal ecosystem, a war we didn't even know we were fighting. By learning to strategically feed the microscopic allies that live within you, you're not just aiming to slow down the clock, you are actively participating in a process of profound, fundamental renewal. You are rebuilding your cellular engine from the ground up, quenching the hidden fires of inflammation, and reclaiming the boundless energy that is rightfully yours. The power to feel younger, more vibrant, and more mentally sharp is not lost in your past. It is being built right now from the inside out based on the simple, powerful decision you make today. This is the most clarifying explanation of unexplained fatigue I've ever heard. The energy hijack concept completely clicked for me. I've been blaming myself for years for feeling so drained, thinking it was a lack of willpower or just getting old. Realizing it's a biological resource allocation problem is a massive mental shift and a huge relief. It removes the self-blame. I've been eating a lot of blueberries and walnuts lately without knowing why, and I've genuinely felt better with a clearer head in the afternoon. Now I understand the actual mechanism behind it. Mind-blowing. Thank you.